There's some talk of looming crisis with diesel for Europe. What's your opinion on that?
I have been, Kuppy will know, I've been saying for a while that everybody underestimates one thing, and that is the most, not every year, but many years, like on the NYMEX, obviously you have this big up and down in global inventories of diesel where we fill up in the summer into the fall, and then we drain it during the winter, during the northern hemisphere winter. But what most people forget is that in the springtime, when the farmers in the northern hemisphere go to plant, tilling takes a lot more diesel than harvesting. When you harvest, you go, across the field once, basically. But when you till and plant, you're probably tilling, you go maybe once or twice or three times, and then you plant, you go again. So it's easily two, if not three or four times as much energy intensive. Now, of course, there's no-till farming, and there are people trying to mitigate that. But by and large, planting is more energy intensive than harvesting. And so typically in the spring, you get a very late winter diesel demand. And it happens when inventories are, on an annual basis, are near their lows. So there's often a squeezable moment in the springtime when most people have written off the winter. So I think we're heading into this. I don't trade futures anymore. I like to sleep at night. I don't want to wake up with a giant margin call. So I trade oil equities. But if I were trading futures, I'd be long May, June, probably, or May, July. It's one of the, and it doesn't work every year, but historically, it's one of the trades with the best success. It's probably a little bit late to get in right now. But, in the springtime, you're just, betting on a fall rally, you're betting on fear and greed. Betting on a winter rally, you're betting on cold weather. Betting on a spring rally in diesel, you're betting on the farmers. And, the farmers plant every year. So in a low inventory environment everywhere in the world, I don't see why we don't have one heck of a diesel rally.
Do you think we're going to run out of diesel? Will we hit zero?
I think price will do what people can't do. Price will slow down consumption. We are the charts. I've never seen charts as scary as the diesel inventory charts. The other thing that's happening, and there's two other things that don't often get talked about, but Russians can export two things: Urals crude or VGO. Typically, out of the Black Sea, there's a lot of VGO. And Urals can go either to the west or to the east to China. And VGO typically would come out of the Med. Well, the VGO exports have slowed down a lot. Vacuum gas oil, VGO, goes into secondary units in the US Gulf Coast or other places to produce more diesel. So there's less VGO out of Russia right now, critical to the, to the manufacturing of diesel. And because of the IMO 2020 regulations for mandating cleaner burning fuel in ships, most ships they're no longer burning traditional bunker fuel unless they've got scrubbers. They're more likely burning a cleaner type of fuel that has a higher percentage of diesel in it. So heading into the pandemic, we quietly shifted to a more diesel, higher percentage of diesel in the bunker fuel. And now we've also lost VGO. So I just think there's things going on behind the scenes that aren't making headlines that are, compounding what we're looking at.
When you look at these shortages in various regions, does this play into clean tanker rates going up, or is the lack of supply out of Black Sea and some other ports going to offset longer hauls and arbitrages and other stuff?
That one is a tough one to answer, because if the Russians use every available inch of pipeline and every bit of tankage on their east coast, out of Siberia to push as much as they can to Asia, that's just going to back out Middle Eastern crude that will head into the Atlantic basin. So from a clean products, that's what's going to happen with crude. So you won't have West African heading to China as much. You'll have less. So there'll be more West African in the Atlantic basin than might have been going to India or China. And so I think those two maybe they net out a little bit. And I'm not sure what impact that has on clean products. I think it's a little bit almost too early to say on that. I mean, if there's less flowing, maybe there's more ships, but yeah, that's a tough one, Kuppy. I don't have any clarity or opinion that really can bear either way. I just think you're going to see a shifting, and I don't know how that shifting, if it's net plus or minus. I would say, as this year goes on, and as the Saudis slowly ramp up production, eventually we'll get to a point where long haul rates, in theory, will start to tick. There'll be a floor under long haul when OPEC finally increases production during the second half of the year.